Good.
Ciao, Martin.
Hey, good morning.
Let me get you inside out of the rain.
Thank you. Just gonna head straight through.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Marissa.
Hey Marissa, how you doing? Lovely to meet you.
Like it.
Are you ready?
My name is John Loftus. That's right here.
That was really fast. I should have kept him a little longer.
Because this really is about the man who found it.
Hey, New York Comic Con, what's up? Thank you so much for coming out on a rainy, cold New York day for an awesome show. Our first movie we're talking about is The Kingsman, coming out February 14th, 2020. Now, he flew straight from London to be here today. We have the director of the movie, Matthew Vaughn, here to come and tell us about it. Welcome, Matthew. It's so nice to be chatting with you. Now you're about halfway through editing right now, too. You're in the weeds on it. You're living the Kingsman life.
Yeah, living and dying.
Now, this movie is really cool because obviously we know the first two Kingsman movies, but this is different. This is an origin story. So why did you want to, press pause right now and tell a different Kingsman story at this point?
I had an itch to try and do. I think it's important as a director or any type of artist to keep pushing your boundaries and not try and repeat yourself too many times, as easy as it could have been. And it's going to sound pretentious, and we're never going to win an Oscar or anything like that. But I was watching a lot of the Oscar movies, and I just thought I'd never want to watch any of these films again. They're good, but they're not repeatable watching. But when I was a kid, Lawrence of Arabia, French Connection, Dr. Zhivago, you put them on, you want to watch them again. So I thought, let's go back in time and do a love letter to the movies I grew up on.
Today, you brought a couple of special guests who we're going to welcome out on stage right now. So first up, we have Jimon Hansu as Shola, Harris Dickinson as Conrad, and last but not least, playing the Duke of Oxford himself, Ralph Fiennes. Rafe, this is actually your first Comic-Con ever, too, right?
Yes, yes.
Let's give him a big welcome. Now, Rafe, I want to start with you. Talk to us a little bit, what attracted you to wanting to come on board a Kingsman origin story, this epic movie that Matthew's been putting together? You?
Okay.
Yeah?
Well, I enjoyed the first Kingsman films and very much respected the clever balance of relationship and action that I think Matthew established. I mean, the relationship between Colin Firth's character and Taron Egerton. And I thought it was an unusual and original spin on the British spy theme. And I was flattered and delighted when Matthew proposed this prequel to the story. And I've had a wonderful time working with Harris and Diamond. And I hope that when you see the film that I think you will see there's a richness to the beginnings of how the Kingsman intelligence agency started.
There's a line your character says in the movie where reputation is what people think of you and character is what you are. And that seems to be kind of the crux and heart of this relationship. Talk a little bit about how their kind of differing opinions on war and their role in the society as gentlemen makes the heart of the movie.
Well, without giving away too much, a tragedy has happened to the family, which has given my character, the Duke of Oxford, a particular perspective about warfare. He's essentially a pacifist. And his son, Conrad, grows up, of course, when England is going into the First World War, wanting to step up and join the army, join the forces, and honour his nation. And so I think in that differing opinion about combat and violence, there's a tension.
How about for you, though, Harris? Because it seems like Conrad is kind of, he doesn't understand where his father's coming from, it doesn't seem.
Well, no, it's interesting because he's sort of, he's a little bit naive, you know, and he's going through this stage. He's at a point in his life where he's sort of realizing what it means to be a man amidst a time where you're sort of being defined by your bravery and being defined by your sort of ability to be able to go off and fight for a cause. And I think he's got this like passion that he doesn't quite fully know how to fulfill. And then that's the sort of interesting dynamic, you know, because it comes up against his father's pre-existing and perhaps better morality, you know, so it's interesting.
Yeah. Now, Jaimin, your character Shola, he's a former war comrade of the Dukes, but now he's kind of like a bodyguard meets butler for the family, which I imagine, and we've seen this teased in the trailers, means you get a lot of really, really cool action scenes. And now, obviously, the Kingsman movies are known for their really stylized action, but you were saying, when we were talking a little bit before this, the action in this movie is actually pretty different for the films and was challenging for you, who has this whole stunt fight background. Talk a little bit about that.
I didn't really think going to this film, given the fact that it's a period piece, given the fact that it's also tells the history of the early formation of Europe, and that was quite interesting as a sort of like base of this story, and I think that was quite amazing. But you know, at the end of the day, I was looking at the film thinking that this was an easy approach to action-driven stories, and given the fact that it's a period piece, and also how do we look at this period and imagine the war heroes or somewhat the superheroes of that time.
He hated taking his top off, although you should be proud of what is underneath this.
This was a very painful film to me. That's what I was trying to get to. And you know, and so every day you come to set and you're working with Rick Fine, who's you know, literally it's like you know, assisting a master class in acting, you know, and it's so amazing to
Yeah.
And
now, what was amazing about Rafe was it was like having a co-director, which I loved. That sometimes I'd miss something, and Rafe was like these laser beam eyes scanning everything behind me, and he'd just nod or whisper something, and it was always it was totally on point, and it was great. It was a real team effort, this film.
looking at this story, and certainly when it came to my, to my desk, I thought that was quite amazing that it was loosely based on the early formations of Europe, and the fact that the first two films were quite iconic in their own right, meaning they didn't resemble any other action films, and so I was excited about that, going to this film, and so I've known Matthew Vaughn for quite a bit of time, and wanted to work with him. Well, I've never been to New York Comic Con, and this one is quite nice. It's quite different than the San Diego one. Obviously, New York fans are hardcore fans, and so it's nice to see this New York Comic Con for the first time.
Being able to play opposite Ray Fiennes was probably one of the biggest draws. Matthew, when I first met Matthew, he was like, I got the sense that he was so, and from his previous films, I grew up watching his films, and being able to work within this world was just exciting. We meet him at a time where he's 16, 17. He's from the aristocracy, so he's lived a life of of high class sort of living, and his father's a Duke of Oxford, and he feels a little constricted by that, and the idea of him being able to go to war and fight for his country at a time where a lot of young men are being defined by that and being defined by their bravery, and he feels like he's not being able to sort of display that and support towards a cause. So he just feels a little bit at a loose end.
I had an itch to make a film like the movies I grew up as a kid, whether it was The Man Who Would Be King, hence Kingsman, or Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, these big epic films that they weren't boring, but they were proper. And I've been thinking the world's ready to have a epic adventure movie shot in a more restrained manner while having the fun of telling the world where was Kingsman born and how and why.
Well, I can feel the energy out there. It's great to feel the energy of the fans and the excitement about the film, because for a long time you're making a film, you're totally disconnected from an audience and their anticipation, and you're making it for an audience, so it's great to feel that sense of excitement in the room. I mean, Matthew creates an interesting mix of emotional, relationship, pathos, action and humour. And you go between quite serious, quite dramatic, tragic elements, and then you have lighter, ironic moments, and that's quite a challenge, but a fun one. The Duke of Oxford, who I play, he goes on a bit of a journey. He's a man wounded by tragedy in his family, which makes him basically a pacifist and anti-violence, and he doesn't want his son to go to war, but the war is coming and his son wants to prove himself as a soldier fighting for his country.
This is going to be fun.
Hey, New York Comic Con, what's up? The director of the movie, Matthew Vaughn, Jimon Hansu, Harris Dickinson, and Rafe Fiennes.
I enjoyed the first Kingsman films. Matthew proposed this prequel to the story.
Conrad, he doesn't understand where his father's coming from.
He's at a point in his life where he's realizing what it means to be a man.
Diamond, you get a lot of really, really cool action scenes.
This was quite a challenge.
Matthew balances different tones of humor, emotional relationship, and action.